All right, and thank you for coming back to the Gridiron and Hardwood Podcast with your hosts Trent and Tyler there on the other end. So just before we get started today, just wanted to let y'all know that we are up on all platforms, all major platforms. We have a YouTube, a TikTok, and a YouTube, TikTok, and we have an Instagram actually. So for our Twitter, if you want to follow us over there, that's going to be at Gridwood Pod. And then for both Instagram and TikTok, that's going to be at Gridiron Hardwood Pod. So it's gridiron dot hardwood pod, and that's where you can find us on those platforms. But otherwise, we can go ahead and get right into this. Um, so for our first segment of the day, we'll get into some current events a little bit later, but I wanted to discuss some linebackers and running backs of the decade. This is a recurring segment that we're going to be doing, just kind of going over some different position groups over the decades of the NFL and college football, all in general. So I did a lot of more research for this one than I did for last week's podcast. So who you got
Mm-hmm.
for the 60s? Let's just start there. We can
The
go running back first.
60s. The 60s?
Yeah. I can
You
give you a
s-
few names because I did some research.
um I can go 70s. Okay, let's go running. No, 60s. I'm gonna go Jim Brown for 60s.
Jim
Jim Brown.
Brown.
Cleveland Brown won
I
a
think that might have been
championship.
earlier. I think that might have been earlier than the
50,
60s because when
60s.
I
Like,
did some research, the
was it
main
50s
names I
and
found was
60s?
OJ, Larry Zonka, Gale Sayers, and Mike Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if Jim Brown is for the 50s, my mistake. If he's for the 60s, cool.
Yeah. Hey, you
Let me
just got to get
see.
that
Let
Jim
me just
Brown
do
love in there.
70s because 70,
Yeah, we
that's
can go
when the
ahead and
running
move to
back shit
70s.
exploded.
Yeah.
Um,
There are two big ones that I have down for this one.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I got Tony Dorsett and my Oilers legend, Earl Campbell. Both pretty big legends, I'd say. Who you got on your end? Yep.
Oh, it's lagging.
Is it having an issue on my end or your end?
It's lagging
Oh,
pretty
there it
bad.
goes. All right, I think we're back. Um,
Oh,
so just to recap, I said for the 70s, Tony Dorsett and Earl Campbell. You got anyone to add for the 70s?
70s, NFL or college?
Either one.
70s, I would go Franco Harris for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh, yeah.
Immaculate reception.
Haven't heard that name in a minute.
So, yeah, Franco Harris, that's a hard pull. Hard pull. So, yeah, that's mine for the 70s, Franco Harris. I mean, he was a phenomenal back. Just traditional big back. Back then they didn't really pass the ball. I know they had Terry Bradshaw and they had the, Steel Curtain, the Hall of Fame defense, but you got to have a running game. And Franco Harris will
Right.
always take it, and he will open up stuff for Lynn Swan, receivers and stuff like that, and everything like that. So I would say Franco Harris, man, he was just a truck, man, like big, broad shoulder pads. He's not going. Franco Harris from the 70s for me.
Yeah. Definitely one of those underrated backs. Not a lot of like discussion with him typically, but definitely one of those names we respect. And I know I did say running backs and linebackers. We'll get to that second half in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and move on to the 80s. I'll go ahead and lead this one off with who I kind of have written down for this era. I have Eric Dickerson for the Rams. Dude was a dog, run right through you. Marcus Allen, I'm pretty sure he played for the Chargers. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was as
Raiders.
elusive as hell. Oh yeah. And then Walter Payton was the last one I have for this decade. Has a whole award after him now. Just a legend on the football field.
You took mine. I was going to say ED. I was going to say Eric Dickerson. The thing about Eric Dickerson is that he ran so smooth. He was never like huffing and puffing when he ran. He never ran too hard. Now, he ran hard. You weren't going to tackle him, but I'm
Right.
saying like he wasn't like a Pacheco. Like he was able to just silky smooth, high knees. He was tall too. He was like, whatever.
Yeah.
So ED was one of them silky smooth runners, like a Calvin Ridley at running back type thing. Like he just was always able to just glide. He was pity pat, pity pat, pity pat. Like his feet never touched the ground. ED was mine for the 80s for sure. Go look at what's it? He
And
played for the
just
New York
quickly
Giants.
before you do that next one, I just want to say, not to get on my soapbox, but I do think that like Calvin Ridley is getting a lot of love recently, so I do like to see that. But he is really one of the great route runners in this league. He may not be the high like, oh, he's going to go get 1,500 yards, but if you look at the man's routes, they're absolutely immaculate. And then if you go and like you were saying with Dickerson, if you go back and look at the way he ran, it was just like so smooth. Like
Oh, I
people
mean,
just
I've been
weren't
a
able to
Calvin Ridley
tackle him
fan.
via power or
I've been
move.
I've been a big advocate for Calvin Ridley since like Alabama. Since 2015, I was in high school, and I remember his first game. They was playing Florida Gators, and they played against Michigan State. Then they Georgia. And I could just see it, and I'm like, he started as a true freshman, like as a true freshman, and was dominating Georgia as a true freshman. I was like, this guy, But it's rare to get true freshmen to do that. But I seen him at Alabama, and then after him was Jerry Jeudy. Then after him was, just so on and so forth. But Calvin really came after Amari Cooper, but then before Cooper, it was Julio Jones. So Calvin really was just so smooth. Like I said, these guys. I'm
Underrated
not
wide
saying these
receiver
guys
still.
aren't fast. Yeah, I'm not saying these guys aren't fast, but they just so smooth and silky. Like they
Hmm.
don't have to. It's not too much effort.
Right. I think you have like a few different kinds of wide receivers. You have your guys that are gonna like uh, be physical with you, go up to the catch point, get those kinds of balls. Your D Hops, your AJ Browns of the world. Well, I guess AJ Brown I'd call more of a runner, but he can do a little bit of the 50-50 ball
Calvin
stuff.
Johnson.
But yeah, Calvin Johnson was another name I was about to name. And then you have your route runners, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown. Um,
St.
I
Brown.
don't know. Yeah, St. Brown. I'm honor St. Brown. And then you have your speed guys, Tyreek Hill, all those kind of guys. You have your guys that excel specifically in the slot, Michael Beasley, or is that his name? The guy that used to play
Mm.
for the Bills, Beasley.
Yeah.
Um,
Beasley.
yeah, and then you got your guys that are just like gonna create something out of nothing. And I really like those kinds of guys personally. A guy like a guy specifically that I was looking in college, it kind of did a lot of that was Anai Smith, from Texas A&M. I really liked his game in college, but yeah.
Yeah,
But back
Mr. Green
to
Cleats. That's what Anaya Smith.
yeah.
He used to be Mr. Green Cleats. I know him from that. That's smart though. See,
But
because you see how I remember him off the cleats. That's
mhm.
smart. Hmm.
But if we're getting, let's go ahead and get back over to our running back discussion. Next era, big, huge era of running backs. Kind of some of the biggest names. You got Barry, and Barry by himself is just insane.
Here's the thing with the
Carried the
Barry Sanders thing,
Lions.
though. Here's the thing with the Barry Sanders thing. It's not a hot take, but it's just like,
Yeah,
bro, Herschel Walker, bro. Like, listen, I understand Barry was, but like Herschel Walker to me was just and Bo Jackson. Like it's kind of like the same. Like, and then it's just, but Herschel Walker was one of those guys who was like, you could literally have 11 garbage cans and just Herschel Walker, and you still have a chance to win the game. Like, same thing with Barry, but like,
yeah,
and I'm not taking that from Barry, saying Barry says he's fucking
right.
electric as Lisa, but Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson, but Bo Jackson I think was more the 80s though. But
Hmm.
yeah, running backs in the 90s, and then oh my gosh, what's his name? He played
Uh,
for, Emmett Smith.
yeah,
Great Wall of
Cowboys
Dallas.
legend.
I mean, come on
Yeah.
now. Like let's go. Emmett Smith. And then look up the Nigerian Nightmare for the Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he used to like the humongous dude. He used to just come through and stump guys.
Yeah,
But
he
the
gets like
night,
a really good Madden card every year that like I think that's how
yeah,
people are starting to remember him.
yeah. I mean, 90s, man. That's a running back era of the 90s. Talk
There's one
about
name
some.
I don't think you mentioned yet, and that's Marshall Faulk, another amazing running back,
I kind of put him with 2000s though, because
I
he did
guess.
the 2000, 2001,
There,
2002. That's when he did with
yeah.
the Rams and Kurt Warner. So I'm like, yeah, I could do 90s, but he's more early
Mhm.
2000s. Like,
Yeah, there were some people that looked at the stats. I was like, I don't know which one to include them in because like they were good at the tail end of this decade and maybe a few years at the early end of this decade. So, but I do really appreciate you mentioned those other two names, Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson, because for whatever reason I forgot to include them in my personal list. So,
Emmitt
think
Smith.
they definitely deserve it. Yeah. I had Emmitt Smith on my list, but
Okay.
you kind of got there before I did, so you know,
Hmm.
I mean, my list isn't everything, but and then for the 2000s, I got my birthday brother, LaDainian Tomlinson. Uh, just fuck freaking good running back for the LA
And
Chargers,
LT
man.
was, bro. LT was, bro. He could catch out the backfield. He could block. He can chip off the edge. He can take a toss. He can run between the tackles. He can run ISO. He could be wildcat. Like he was the most complete back I think I've ever seen. Like I'm not saying he's the best back ever because people probably say he's Barry, but I'm talking about he's the most complete like pass catcher, block, chip block. He even with the receiver sometimes. Like he was the
Yeah,
most versatile, complete back I've ever seen. LT was amazing, bro.
right. And then you
And
had
he,
like he
and he
was
had
in
the
that
best
offense with
celebrations too.
Antonio Gates. Like that was a thunder and lightning duo. Like
Because
I don't know how you
you didn't
guard
know what
that.
to worry about. You didn't know what to worry
Yeah,
about. And he had Phillip Rivers. He's
yeah.
over there. So my 2000s, you probably don't even know who this is, but Philadelphia Eagles, Deuce Staley. Come on now, bro. You don't even know who Deuce Staley is. You don't even know who
I
Deuce Staley is.
don't. I
Oh my
don't. I
gosh,
know
he was
Shady
on
McCoy,
those.
but I don't know about no Deuce Staley. I'm sorry.
Nah, he was before Shady and he was before Brian Westbrook. Deuce Staley was the guy. Andy Reid got hired at the Eagles in '99. He was the guy that
Mm,
came in with Andy Reid when they first got started. Like when the Eagles were a force in the early 2000s, but they can never win a Super Bowl for some reason. They had McNabb. Deuce Staley was the bell cow, and Deuce Staley, he had they played the Bucks in '02, and the second play of the game, he scored a touchdown, like in the playoff game, like NFC Championship. Now the Bucks won that game, but yeah, Deuce Staley. Then it was Brian Westbrook. Then it was Shady McCoy. But Deuce Staley, look him up. He's actually a coach for the Lions right now. I think he's an offensive coordinator, running back coach.
and then the other two I had for this era, Sean Alexander, and then the
Seahawks.
other yeah, last name I had was Adrian Peterson because he was like he was like the specific example that I'm thinking of from earlier where
Who
like
was it?
his end of the 2000s was like great. Or yeah, his end of the 2000s was great, and then he had a pretty good start to the 2010s as well. So I didn't
Who
know
was
which
it
one to
again?
more
The
include him
last
in.
one?
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I was going to say AP. Damn, you took my AP. Shoot, shit. Let me go. Nah, he's more the 2010s, but he did come in the league. No, I could say him. He came in the league in '06. Reggie Bush for the Saints. He came in the league in '06. So he
Elite
just kind
college
of
player.
yeah, and then he won Super Bowl too in '09.
Yeah.
So I mean he was Edgerrin James with the Colts. Edgerrin James. Uh, fucking hold on now. 2000 now. This is my era. Now I know this because hold on now.
I got a
Um,
few names if you want me to throw them out.
Jerome Bettis, Willie Parker, both Steelers. Okay, we got
Shady.
Jerome Bettis, Shady, Willie Parker, um,
Beast mode.
Corey Dillon, Beast Mode, Patriots, Corey Dillon. Patriots had a lot of running backs, bro. Like
Hey, well,
the, the what
yeah. I was
the
gonna
the
say, what
early
about that Chiefs one?
Jamal Charles, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was gonna say that
And
for
then
you, but Jamal
Le'Veon
Charles.
was the ones that I had.
Le'Veon, yeah, but he ain't blow up to like the 2010s though. He didn't blow up to like
I
2010,
guess.
2011, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm
Le'Veon
talking
Bell.
about. I thought we were on the 2010s now.
Well, I was doing like back half of 2000, like '08 and going, because
Oh,
like Willie
okay.
Parker was kind of like,
Yeah,
well, Jerome Bettis too though.
for
Wait a
sure.
minute, there was somebody else too. He was in the AFC. Yeah, never mind. 'Cause you said Beast Mode
Eddie
because Beast Mode he
George?
played. Yeah, Eddie George, but Beast Mode played for the Bills and then he went to the Seahawks. So I'm thinking of both careers. Both of them
Hey,
were fun.
if I'm shouting out another Titans guy, I kind of want to put my boy's name out there, DeMarco Murray. He was pretty solid for a while.
What about your other Titans guy, Chris Johnson,
Oh yeah,
CJ
CJ
2K?
2K. Like one
What
of
was
the
he
only running
doing?
backs ever to have 2,500 all-purpose yards.
Mm-hmm. With gold teeth in his mouth during the game. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie,
And
bro.
then
That 2008 Titans team was awesome, bro. I remember watching that. Like, you had CJ2K, you had some
my
receivers,
boy
you had the
VY.
defense, you had Vince Young. Like, I was like, I could have fucking.
If
I
only
remember
it wasn't
watching
for
that,
Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher hated Vince
dude.
Young.
I watched that whole document. I was like, come on, bro. Yeah.
Kerry Collins, I think is his name, is the guy that Jeff Fisher wanted over Vince Young. What a to keep
Like,
this not profane. What a
anybody
dumb guy.
seeing, listen, anybody seeing that '05 Rose Bowl, literally the next year should not even think about any other quarterback. Like, not even. You should go and you got the quarterback from the '05 Rose Bowl. It's like, oh, he fell in our lap. Like, because listen, I gotta say, after seeing that game, bro, I was like, yeah, bro. I mean, Vince, I know it's the NFL, but college, but Vince single-handedly took over that game. It's just like, how can you not want that guy? Like, what has the other guy shown you that this guy did it in the biggest stage and won a national championship? But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and I do genuinely think that if it wasn't for Jeff Fisher, he would have had a very successful career. There are some other people that'll say that he was just never truly that good at the NFL level, but I don't believe that. But if we want to go ahead and move on to the 2020s, unless you have anyone else for the 2010s.
no, that was it.
All right.
Oh wait,
So,
hold on, 2010s. Hold
yeah.
on. Todd Gurley, Todd Gurley,
Oh, yeah. I should have included him because
Todd
he had
Gurley.
that he had that issue where he went to the Falcons and then he had that 1 year there and then kind of fell off the face of the earth. But those
When
Rams
he was
years
on the
were
Rams
insane.
though, when he was on the
Yeah,
Rams though, yeah, bro.
yeah.
Go ahead to the
But
2020s.
okay, so I got four for this one. I got Nicholas Chubb. I had to throw him some respect despite him being on the Texans. Gross. I got
Mm-hmm.
another Titans legend, Derrick Henry, because that motherfucker just ran through people. Still
You can't
does.
let him go,
No.
huh?
And
He said
then
no.
I think he did some stuff in the late 2010s as well, but because he was like he was the guy with Derrick Henry for a while that they were debating CMC, Christian McCaffrey. And then, if we're talking about modern day best running back in the game, Saquon. So those are my 2020 guys.
Mm-hmm. Josh Jacobs,
I mean, he's good. He's good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he's on the level as those other guys, in my opinion.
Dalvin Cook,
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook,
Well,
James
is
Cook. I
Dalvin
think
Cook
I
a
think I think
2020 or
his little
2010?
brother. I think
Oh,
James
James
Cook.
Cook. James Cook's really good. I respect him.
Yeah, Pacheco.
Pacheco's like he's a
But,
role player running back.
but
Like,
Pacheco, he does a lot for the Chiefs. Like, if they don't have him, they don't really win a
yeah,
lot because he gets like he gets the extra 3 yards that you don't have to worry about. So it was like if it's 3rd and 7, he'll fucking get 15 yards because he's running so hard. So you're like actually ahead of the sticks. But
yeah.
yeah, there's
I'd
not. I
say
mean,
I'd say Derrick Henry runs with more force than Pacheco, but I think that like as far as like powerful pure strides, Pacheco is probably as far as pure strides go, a more
no, but
powerful
it's not
strides.
about
It's
the
just that Derrick Henry has a
strides.
lot
It's like
more push
Pacheco
and
has more
power.
like violency when he runs.
Yeah,
Like Derrick Henry's
yeah.
more powerful, but Pacheco's more violent. He'd be swinging his arms in his head like he just like yeah.
hmm
So like he's on fire. Like he
Yeah,
just
You can hit Derrick Henry first, and he's just gonna plow through you, whereas Pacheco is just gonna try to run through you before you get to him.
yeah.
But let's go ahead and move over to running backs. I mean, sorry, linebackers. I don't know if you have any guys that you wanted to mention for the 60s. The main guy that I kind of found for that would have been Ray Nitsky. I'm not
Ray
sure if I'm
Nitsky.
pronouncing that right. Yeah. Packers, middle
Mm-hmm.
linebacker.
Go ahead. Yes. So 60s, I don't have any, but 70s, Dick Buckus,
hmm
um,
That was on my list,
Chicago
yep.
Bears, Chicago Bears. They said when the storm come, when the tornado come, tie down whatever you can, and whatever's left is left. Because he's that type. Like he is gonna come. Like he's coming around the bend. Like there's no
Yeah,
like you have to just slide, max protect, double team. Like don't even worry about he's coming. So that's mine for
for
the
sure.
70s.
For sure. And just for time's sake, I do kind of want to go through these linebackers a little bit quicker. But the ones I kind of had down, I had Willie Lanier, Jack Ham, and Jack Lambert. Looks like two of those guys were on the Steelers. And
Mm-hmm.
then for the 80s, I think is kind of where you start getting a lot of the good ones. Got LT, if you count outside linebackers. Mike Singletary, Andre Tippett, Dexter Manley, I think. Is that who that
Mm-hmm.
is? I can't read my own handwriting. Um,
Yeah. You gotta start typing it in.
I know. Anyone else for the 80s?
80s, 80s, 80s. Linebackers, right? Linebackers only. I was gonna say Jack Lambert because it's still Curtin. So they did a
Yeah,
lot for that. Yeah.
yeah, I have him down for the 70s, but yeah, I didn't do too much research into him specifically, but I'm sure he had a pretty good impact on the 80s too. 90s, some very good names. Junior Seau, Derek Thomas, Kevin Green.
Mm-hmm. Derek Thomas for sure. I think he had like the record sacks in all like the whole game. Like he had 9 sacks in the game or something like that. Like
Yep.
he had the most sacks ever in
Yeah.
NFL history in a game.
I you might be right, you might be wrong. I don't know. I do know it's
No,
like
no,
a
he does.
crazy
He does.
number.
He had like the most. He does. He
Oh,
has the
really?
most sacks in a game. Yeah,
Well, I know like Khalil Mack had that one game where he got kind of close to it. But I didn't know who like
bro.
currently
Like
held it.
10 sacks. 10 sacks in a game is fucking crazy, bro. Like you have to be on
E-
fire.
That's insane
I
because
don't
that's
know
what
what
our team got against the Bengals in that champion
that, but
in
that's
that
what I'm saying.
divisional
Like,
game.
bro, I
And
think
we
it
were
was 9 or
everywhere.
10. It was one of those two in that game in one game, bro. Like
Yeah.
that's
From one
by
person's
one person.
crazy. Yeah.
No team tackles. It was just him.
Because when we had those 9 sacks against Shaw, I was like, oh wow, we were just getting in the backfield every play. Imagine one player getting that many sacks and not the entire team.
That's
Because
ridiculous.
if that man got 9 sacks, they're going to start doubling him eventually, and someone else is going to get a sack or
But
two
you know,
too.
in
So
the '90s football IQ isn't like today. Today's more of a cerebral game. Back then, they was
yeah.
just like everything, whether receiver, whether it's O
Hmm.
line, D line, everything was just one-on-one base. You had to win your
Right.
battles. Now everything's more coverage and shell and slide over. But back in the '90s, they weren't. They were. I'm not saying they weren't smart. They were smart, but the game
Yeah.
wasn't as cerebral as it is now. Everything was just one-on-one base.
Yeah. And
So if
I
you just
think
lost your
like you can
one-on-one, you just
have your
lost.
I think you can have your debate on as far as offensive line goes, like which high end talent is better, but I think as far as like, your lower end offensive line talent, I think it's better today than it's probably ever been because I mean, I wasn't alive back in the 60s and 70s, but I assume back then there was a lot of like, oh, this guy's big as hail. We're gonna put him there and hope he can block.
Yeah.
Um, but not to dwell on that too much. For the 2000s, here are some of the names that like, people talk about linebackers, some of the first guys that really come to your head, at least for me. And that's Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, Derek Ware, or DeMarcus Ware. I don't know why I said Derek. DeMarcus Ware for the Cowboys. I know who he is. Don't get on me. Um, James Harrison for Pittsburgh. All those kinds of guys. That 2000s decade of linebackers was insane.
Derek Brooks for the Bucks.
Yeah, yeah,
Derek Brooks. I think he ain't had the most, but he had like the second. He had like 3 picks in the game at linebacker. I was like, what the hell is a linebacker? But he could drop back in the coverage, bro. Like, and the funny thing, like he would score him too. Like he wouldn't just like pick him. Like he's a linebacker. He would run him back because he played against Warren Sapp in high school, and he played tight end. But then he gained weight and stuff, and they moved him to linebacker. So he really got that tight end in him.
yeah,
And so every time he catch the ball, pick it off, he's going to score. People think, oh, he's a linebacker, whatever. He scored against the Ravens, and then he scored in the Super Bowl against the Raiders when they won. He took back like 2 touchdowns. But people forget he used to be a tight end, but he's gained a lot of weight. So Derek Brooks, and then it's another linebacker. Oh yeah, Brian Urlacher is so just you want to talk about he was a pillar for Chicago. Like he was a franchise player, like as a linebacker. It was him, Devin Hester, and Jay Cutler back in the day. Like those were the three pillars. Like those were the guys, and everything else worked around it. And
Yeah.
man, I mean, I can't say enough about Ray Lewis. I mean, you want to talk about I'm not even talking about just football. You're talking about just listen to one of his speeches and just life motivation. Just get up off the couch and do something with your life. Like Ray Lewis is a spiritual leader. He's about soul. He's a soul leader, spiritual leader, and like I would love to have Ray Lewis on my team at any point. It's not even just football, just life. And just hearing him speak, and he was always on the ball. He was always on the ball. Every tackle, there's 11 hats on the ball, and he's one of them. And guess what? He's the first guy to get there too. You're not gonna beat him to a tackle. Like Ray
Yeah, that
Lewis was
Ravens
just that
defense was crazy. That
2000
whole
Ravens.
Ravens
Oh my
defense that he
god,
was on, it was crazy. Because even if for some odd chance you got Ray Lewis to miss, you got all these other freaking Pro
Terrell
Bowlers right
Suggs.
at you. Yeah.
You got Ray Lewis. You got Terrell Suggs. You got Chris McAllister. You got Ed Reed. You got there was this Samoan dude one time. I mean, you got.
You're just
I
getting
mean,
popped, and you're not going to stop getting popped.
pummeled into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the 2010s, all but one of these guys has kind of like been very impactful in the 2020s as well. But the main three I got was Luke Kuechly. Don't want to ever disrespect that man's legacy. He was a dog for Carolina. Bobby Wagner, uh,
Big
Seattle
Bobby.
back in the day, and now with I believe it's the Commanders.
He was the Commanders
And
now.
yeah, and then Von Miller, I forget where he ended up because he's not with the Bills anymore, but I forget where he ended up. But yeah, all three of those guys are still impactful to minus Luke Kuechly because he had to hang him up for personal reasons, but uh, Von Miller and Bobby Wagner still very good to this day. So very much respect for them. Any names to add there before we get to the 2020s?
Von Miller on the Broncos was unbelievable. He was after Aaron Donald, bro. Like he like one of those type of guys. Just just Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Michael Parsons, Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, like just game record and just bowling balls. Like, bro, we cannot block this guy for shit. Like those are the type of guys. And Von Miller when he was on the Broncos, even when he was on the Bills. Just Von Miller, he just know how to torch his body and he like Gumby.
Yeah,
He knows how to bend the corner and just get right around it. You cannot even touch him. He'll just get right around it. And he's
yeah,
fast to be that big. But yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and it was like that Broncos team that won that Super Bowl. I think it's Super Bowl 50. You had
2016, yeah.
you had Peyton Manning, who was like one of the most cerebral quarterbacks of all time, was going to throw you open, or he's going to make a good pass or a good read on like 99 out of 100 downs. Uh, and so you have that on offense that's going to make sure your offense is at least scoring something every drive. And then you have the defensive guy in Von Miller that's going to make sure you can't put the ball in the end zone. That's just not going to
Right,
happen.
right.
So that was a great team. Um, but finally, for the 2020s, you got Fred Warner, Roquan Smith. I, I included Matt Milano. I don't think he's on that caliber as of right now, but I included Matt Milano,
I'm not mad at
Demario
it.
Davis, Dre Greenlaw, Levante David.
Levante David, yes. Um, I think 2020s linebacker. I mean, Fred Warner, yeah, but it's like a finesse linebacker though. I'm not saying he's not physical, but he's not like Ray Lewis was smart, but he was just a physical like
Yeah,
body. Fred Warner's more of like like I'm smarter than you type linebacker. Like I'm gonna
yeah.
figure this out. I'm gonna just
He's a
finesse. You know what I'm
cerebral
saying?
linebacker.
Yeah. So it's like not
Like
saying
Ray
he's
Lewis
not
is more of an
physical.
enforcer, and Ray Lewis is
Yeah,
like an enforcer, whereas you have a guy like Bobby, or not Bobby, Fred Warner, who is gonna make sure he's in the right place at the right time every time.
that's basically what I was trying to say. Yeah, I like Fred Warner though. I think he does a lot for that 49ers defense, and he just keeps everything together. He keeps everything together. So I definitely like Fred Warner.
But so we're gonna switch it up now. We've finished our first NFL segment of the day, first football or Gridiron segment of the day, we're going to go ahead and move into a basketball segment and go over some power forwards of the decades. One of my favorite positions in the NBA, kind of a very versatile position. But first for the 60s, so very influential players, I feel like, to a lot of the stuff that kind of happened later down the line. While I know Steph Curry was like the guy that kind of started the three-point revolution, I want to give a shout out to a guy like Bob Pettit. He was shooting basically threes before the three-point line existed. And then you got Dolph Schayes, who had a legendary mid-range shot. So those are the two guys in the 60s that I feel like you have to give a shout out to.
Hmm. Yeah, power
Anyone on your end?
forwards. Nah, nobody in my end for the 60s. Start off in the 70s, but I know those names though.
Yeah. The main 70s name, I couldn't find very many 70s players based on memory or research. But the one that came to mind, I believe he played for the Sixers, correct me if I'm wrong, but Elvin Hayes, um, pretty good player, very good all around, grab boards, score them, pass the ball. He'd do a little bit of really everything. So
Hmm.
definitely Elvin Hayes was a really good player in that 70s era.
Kelvin Hayes, so power forward for the 70s. See, I can't include him because he's really the 80s. But I mean, the 70s power forward was kind of like you had to kind of play a little bit of center
Yeah,
because people didn't really know, like there wasn't definitive like you're the one, you're
yeah,
the two, you're the three. It's kind of was just like, guys, we're gonna go out here and play ball. But I think 70s power forwards started to get more love, and that's how I got to where that in the 90s. And like I said, we'll get to the 90s later, but I think that's what started the initial, like, because it's got to start somewhere, and then
right.
obviously the 80s, it blew up. But yeah, I think 70s. I think that's a good list for the 70s right now.
80s got a few good names here. First one I have listed, kind of like mid late 80s, but Larry Bird, um, just shot the ball wherever he wanted to.
Wasn't
Was
he
going
a
to tell
small
you
forward
what.
though?
I mean,
Mm.
I'd qualify him as a power forward personally. I mean, you qualify him where you want, but I think
No,
he's
I'm
more of a
not.
power
I'm not
forward.
saying I qualify him. I'm just like I've always known him as a small. I mean, I guess a power forward. Because
Yeah,
like I said, remember back then they didn't really have positions like it was
yeah.
just guys were just balling.
I feel like he and McHale were both kind of power forwards in that era. McHale came a little bit before he did, I'm pretty sure, but they were both kind of like power forwards. But Bird was more of a power
Shit,
forward slash small forward than McHale, who was a power forward slash center
I think
kind of
I
thing.
think Larry Bird. I think Larry Bird was a point forward. He fucking ran point too. Like he just give me the
Yeah.
ball. Like he's just kind of. I
He
think
said, "Give me the ball. Good things happen when it's in my hands."
yeah, just like I literally like point forward. He's a point forward. Like yeah, I'm a forward, but I give me the ball at the start of the key, top of the key. Like I'm taking the ball. I think he's not. He's really a center, but he could. I guess power. Like I said, it's hard because positions weren't definitive. But Jack Lambert for the Bad Boy Pistons, like he was center, but you know, I don't know who the power forward was because he was their only tall, biggest guy with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars and Dennis Rodman before Dennis Rodman went to the Bulls. But Jack Lambert, man, like, listen, he clog it up, bro. Like you're not driving to the hole when he's in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I said, my apologies. I can't remember who the power forward was. But I'm just saying, like, basketball, you kind of have to play two positions because it's an odd number. It's five on the court. So if you're a point guard, you're kind of a shooting guard too sometimes. If you're a small forward, you kind of play shooting guard. If you're a small forward, you can kind of play power forward. If you're a power forward, you kind of play center. If you're center, you kind of play power forward. So it's kind of like you kind of share two positions. So the only time guys only play one thing is if it's like you're like Ilgauskas, and he's gonna play center. He's not gonna play, But yeah, I
Think
think
that's
Jack Lambert.
necessarily true. I think there's a lot of players over time that have like not necessarily played that one position up, but they've played one position down. I mean,
No, no, no. I'm not talking about one and
Bron
down.
and
I'm
a
talking
lot.
about like similar like point guards usually can play shooting guard too. Like those are the two common ones.
I don't think
I would
Michael
for
Conley can play shooting guard.
if he had to, and they down 10 in the fourth quarter. I mean, or like Jordan. I think Jordan could have played a little bit of point too. I mean, kind of did, but he was a shooting guard. But I'm like, that's like the sister position. Like, I'm sure he could have went and played point. You know what I'm saying? I think.
Distributor.
I mean, they were in the triangle with Phil Jackson and shit, so I guess he could just took the system and just ran it. But
Yeah. Anyway, not to dwell too much on, one or two players, but I did want to like just quickly give another shout out to Bird for like I've seen countless documentaries where it's like sometimes he would get bored, tell you what he's going to do and still make the shot. I'm gonna cross
he was like
Hezzy
that, bro.
and shoot this right over you, and you can't do anything. But the other few names I had here, if I wanted to go, I'm just gonna go ahead and run through those. If you have anything to add, we can add on that. I got the round mound to rebound. For some of you
Mm-hmm.
younger people, you may not know that that is inside the NBA legend Charles Barkley. Um, for a guy that was like six
Chuck.
six, 6'7", I mean, not the 6'7" meme, guys. Let's calm down. But um, for a guy that was that small for the NBA size terminology, like for him to just go out and say, "I don't care how tall you are. That's my ball."
That's my
You think
rebound.
he said, "I don't care if you're 7'3", 7'6", or 8'2". I'm gonna go get that ball, and you're not gonna have it."
I mean,
Um,
bro, like Barkley almost won the finals, bro, by himself. Like, this just ran into Jordan. I mean, Barkley was that nigga, bro. Like, I'm sorry, he's just the thing about him is that if he just had a little bit more help, one more guy, I think he would have
yeah.
got it. I think he would have got it.
It's an unfortunate reality with a guy like his skill set. Like he can only do so much to like put points on the board, which is at the end of the day gonna be how the game is decided. But yeah, no disrespect to him at all though. I love me some Charles Barkley
I love Chuck.
film. But Kevin McHale was the other one that I had on here, another Celtic. Some people would call him a center. I think he and Bird were both kind of power forwards.
Are you
But
getting a check from Boston? Like,
no,
what is this?
no, that was the era of Boston.
I know. I'm just saying. Like, you said a lot of. I just got a lot of players.
Boston had their resurgence right around then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that was when like the Lakers were trying to get competitive again, and they were like, "Oh, well, the Celtics are the best team in the league. We got to beat them. They've been dominating for blah 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 years." And then the last one I had for the '80s was Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is one of my favorite power forwards of all time. He even more than Barkley was like, "That's my ball. You don't have any rights to it.
I seen
You
the
can
stat
try to go
sheet.
get that rebound, but you're not getting it."
I seen the stat sheet. Didn't he have like 10, 15 rebounds and 0 points? Like, he just knew his role. Like,
Yeah,
this is. But Dennis Rodman, he was that guy. Like Jordan talked about it. He was like, bro, yeah, me and Scotty, but we wasn't gonna win without Rodman. Like, he helped
yeah.
carry that second half of that dynasty. Like,
Yeah, people are gonna hate this comparison because it gets made all the time, and I don't think it's like the most accurate comparison in the world. But I think in that extent, where like getting a rebound, getting a stop is their bucket. I think he and Jeremy Sohan are similar in a lot of that same way. But like this man Sohan, or sorry, I don't know why I'm on my Spurs soapbox today, but this man Rodman would go on the floor. He would say, "If I get this rebound over you, if I stop you from scoring, that's my bucket. I don't need to go score on the other end. F all that.
yeah,
What did Jordan bring me here to do? Let's get these rebounds and get the F out of the way." And that's what he
that's what he
did.
said. That's what he did.
And so I love role players like that are like, I know what I'm good at. I'm not going to try to do something that's too outside of that. That's going to make my team worse. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to excel at it. I'm going to make my team better because of it. And I'm not going to be all about me trying to get my points or my this or my that. Um, and another player that was kind of like that through history, if I'm giving out historical shout outs, Tony Allen, a stop was points for him. But he was just more of a shooting guard than the power forward, so I won't go too far into that. For the 90s, though, unless you have anything to add for the 80s, I have Barkley again, because Barkley played for a good bit. I have Sean Kemp, probably one of the greatest dunkers of all time. Derek Coleman doesn't get a lot of respect because he played for the Nets, and the Nets were always kind of meh. And then Rodman again, kind of were my main ones for the 90s.
Sean Kemp for sure. Gotta be more in the '90s though than that, because that's when it took off. Like, I'm trying to think. Sean Kemp for sure. There was a guy
I
out
mean,
west. Wasn't there Europe? No, '90s. Not was it Tony Kukoc for the Chicago Bulls? Played with
yeah,
Jordan.
Tony Kukoc, yeah.
Tony Kukoc, yeah. He was definitely good. He was one of them too. I mean, David Robinson, Twin Towers with Tim Duncan. I mean, I guess you could
But that wasn't until like the last 2 years in the 90s.
still
Like
in the '90s. Like
he was
I know it's like
drafted,
'98, like
Duncan was
'97,
drafted in
'98.
98, and his first season was
Yeah.
98, 99. Won the championship in the 99 2000 season, I think,
Like how
if
you win the
my
championship the year after you get drafted? That's crazy.
yeah, he did. Or actually, I think he was in the 97 draft, and his first season was 97,
I'm
98.
about to say, I think it was '97 actually, not '98. But
Because the
yeah,
ring was in 99. I know that the ring was in 99, so I think I
yeah,
had
it
my
was.
timeline a year off.
Yeah,
But nonetheless, but if we want to talk about Duncan, he's the first person on my 2000s list, the greatest power forward of all time. If you want my personal list, I'll go ahead and list it. But I got Timmy Duncan, number one. These guys are all played in the 2010s, coincidentally, but I got Tim Duncan as my number one greatest power forward of all time, undisputed. My number two is going to be a not so common pick of being Kevin Garnett. I think Kevin Garnett was just so good in so many different aspects. And I
hmm
promise I'm not getting a Celtics check. I actually hate the Celtics. I just like a lot of their players. I remember him more as a Minnesota Timberwolf, I promise you. But number three, I think like if you're arguing he's not in the top three, that's how you know that's when you know you don't know ball. But that's Dirk Nowitzki.
Pau Gasol.
Um, yeah, I mean Pau Gasol's definitely on the list. I just don't think he's in the top three.
I'm not saying he in top three, but
Yeah,
I'm just saying like he on the list. Pau Gasol.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, I love
Pau
Pau
Gasol
Gasol.
definitely
I had
helped
a
the
jersey
Lakers
of
and Kobe.
his.
Yeah, when that second half of the dynasty. Yeah,
Yeah, that's Spurs jersey of Pau Gasol. I love Pau Gasol. LaMarcus Aldridge later we can get into, but he was another guy I really liked with the Spurs when they played. I know most of his success was with the Lakers, though. I just like to forget that part. Some other guys I have for the 2000s because I think this is like when the power forward really like took over the game. Everyone was like, "Oh, well, this like number four position, we can have it be very versatile. We can do whatever we want with it." And that would be like your Webbers of the world who, top draft pick, like
E Webb.
he may not have met all of the expectations, but he was still a very good player in his own right.
I
Chris
mean,
Bosh, one of the first
yeah.
shooting number fours. I mean, Pettit's probably the very first, but I'd say Bosch is probably one of the most effective of all time. Uh, him and Dirk, and then yeah, Gasol was the last person I had on my list as well for
And
that
hey, hold
era.
on. Let me go on that Chris Bosh though. Like you talk about in middle school and high school, like everybody talking about LeBron D Wade. I'm like, bro, y'all gotta look at Chris Bosh. Like he do all the dirty work. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the cleanup guy. Like he would
And he was
and
a superstar in his own right before he went to the Heat. Like for the
and you talk
Raptors, he was their
yeah.
entire franchise.
Yeah, I know when he had the dreads too. And
Yeah,
then that man, he was lefty, the left hander, he lefty. He could shoot that three ball too. I'm like, it's very rare to see a forward can shoot like that, like from deep from three. I'm talking Bosh would just knock him down. I'm like, dang. I'm like, because when LeBron and Wade out getting the breather, it was Chalmers, Bosh, Norris Cole, Birdman, and like he's running that second unit. It was just like whatever. But yeah, and then like Mike Miller and stuff. But Bosh is definitely like you talk about somebody who's underrated and people don't really pay attention. Like I paid attention to that. I'm like Chris Bosh is really cleaning up everything. Like he did all the dirty work.
yeah. And I think because he had that like blood clot that kind of derailed his career, I think there
Yeah,
is a lot of people that just don't give him his due respect, but he's one of the greatest power forwards of all time, in my humble opinion. People, I think, remember the Heat days too much and not enough of what he did with the Raptors because with the
Toronto.
Raptors, again, he was the entire franchise. He was the entire team. That team was not very successful before or after they got him. until they got the DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry of the world, really. Um,
What? Well, I mean, what about Vince
oh, Vince
Carter and
Carter,
Trace?
Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I'm
don't know
about to
why I
say a
just
little bit
zoomed over
before that.
past that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm about to say,
But
yeah.
But like they were like a brand new expansion team basically at that point, and they had no history of success. And Bosch came in there and was like, "Hey, we may not win a finals, but I'm gonna make sure that I do whatever I can to get this new franchise as far in the playoffs and into the playoffs, really for some of their first times ever."
And to that point,
And
with them being a young franchise and trying to get on the map, them being in Canada, remember the Memphis Grizzlies used to be the Vancouver Grizzlies, but then they moved to Memphis. So really, they had Canada by themselves now. So they really had to shine
yeah,
because they used to have two teams. Now they had one. So now
yeah.
they're like, okay, we gotta show up here. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The Vancouver Grizzlies. Yeah, they used to be in Vancouver. That's crazy. They used to have
They
two
should still
teams.
be in Vancouver. I think that would have a lot more, as the Gen Zers or the Gen Alphas would say, aura. Um,
Supersonics in Seattle, not OKC.
but let's go ahead and move on to some 2010s power forwards, if you will. So I got Dirk again. I guess you could say Duncan again, but like this is when he was getting towards those later years of his career.
I mean, he won a
Still
finals too.
very,
So
yeah, still very impactful team on that Spurs player. As a Spurs player, he was still very impactful. He just wasn't necessarily the go-to guy in it anymore at that point. Like he wasn't the guy that the offense was rolling through. Like yes, I know Tony Parker was generally the highest scorer on the team, but everything kind of funneled through Tim Duncan. Like Tim Duncan was dishing it out to Tony Parker, and Tony Parker from there was making a play a lot of times. Um, but when it got to the 2010s, he kind of took on this new role of like, how can I be a superstar caliber role player? And so that's for a guy of his caliber to make that sacrifice and, not necessarily have to be a main guy on the team, just be the force that's like keeping everything together and, everything that Tim Duncan really has done before and after being retiring and all of that. I think Tim Duncan doesn't get talked about enough. And I get his play was boring, but if you look at the man's impact on the game, it was just unheard of. I think
the big fundamental.
he has the highest plus minus of all time. Like when that guy was on the floor, you were winning the minutes. It didn't matter who you were playing. You were winning the minutes he was on the floor. And so that just speaks to his legacy. He has a higher plus minus than Kobe, Michael Jordan. He has the highest plus minus of all time. But getting over to some other people in that 2010s that deserve love. Kevin Love, Timberwolves legend, before he got to the Cavs and really became a role player in the perfect sense for LeBron. Um, I don't think his Timberwolves days get remembered enough because he was a dang superstar in his own right. He was keeping the Timberwolves in games night in, night out. He was the scorer for that team. And then some other guys, LaMarcus Aldridge, very good for the Trailblazers, very good for the
Yeah,
Spurs. Um, Now, once he moved on from the Spurs, wasn't as impactful, started having injury woes. But for those two locations, like he may not have ever been the power forward in the league, but he was always up there performing alongside all those top performing power forwards. Um, and then Blake Griffin had his stint. Um, he had a very good, he carried the Pistons to the playoffs one year. I'll never forget that. The man just said, "Let me put on this backpack real quick." They lost in the first round, but that's still quite an accomplishment. Um, uh, One of my personal favorites, just for how hard he plays and how he impacts the game, not necessarily his off-court antics, Draymond Green. The man just did anything and everything asked of him. Oh, I just need to do this and that to get my teammates open. I need to be the guy that's going to get all these stops. I need to be the guys that mitigates all of the conflict in the locker room. What do you need from me, coach? I got you. I don't think he was that like highly acclaimed coming out of Michigan State either. He ended up being a second round pick, and for him to come in there and prove like, hey, I know how to affect the game in a way that forces our team to be in winning positions. is just amazing. So I want to commend him for that. Um, I'll let you do some if you. I just want to go through my whole list here.
I'm good.
Make sure I don't, leave any big names out here. But and then I got who I affectionately refer to as A Disney. I used to be a big Anthony Davis fan, but uh, after he went to the Lakers, I that was banned. I can't like anything Lakers at the time that they're being Lakers. So Anthony Davis, really loved him as a Pelican. Another one of those guys that's like he took a smaller role to go be with Braun and try to win a championship. Um, but yeah, and
And they
then
did.
last guy 20.
They
Oh,
did.
sorry. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And then the last guy for the 2010s, also in the 2020s, being very impactful as well. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Um, the dude got drafted out of Greece, and everyone was like, "Who the hell is this kid?" And then he just kept slowly improving. Most improved player. Oh, where'd this kid come from? All of a sudden, he's an MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Like the man just did whatever it took to establish himself in the league and make sure that his family back in Greece didn't have to live in the situation that they were living in at that point. Um, his brother before that, not to be disrespectful, but kind of flopped. Um, but I think his brother was actually drafted after him, but was like a more bigger name prospect than he was at the time. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm trusting. But yeah, anyone else to add for the 2010s?
Nope. You just keep on going. I agree with most of those guys. Draymond Green definitely knew what his role was. He played it really well. So yeah, I agree.
Um, for the 2020s, I have some controversial names that some people are like, well, are they really that good? Their team is the eighth seed. But Paolo Banchero, man, pa ever since Paolo went to Magic, they've been on a upward trajectory and only an upward trajectory. You saw it year one. I don't think that they didn't necessarily make the playoffs year one, no, but you saw that trajectory happening where this team is improving. This team's going to be good eventually. Now they've made some trades for Desmond Bane and all of that to get some more complementary pieces, but I think that a lot of Paolo Banchero, his impact gets overlooked a lot of times. I know you've commented on Paolo last episode, I believe, but I do really love Paolo Banchero. I promise it's not just my Duke bias, but that is part of it. Um, and no, I will not go more in depth into that. But if you have anything to add on Paolo before I get to a few others, because I know he's your guy.
No, that's good. No,
Um,
I'm just listening.
Next few guys I got Giannis again. The man is just still doing his thing. No one's really learned how to stop him. They're like, oh, well, just let him shoot. Well, now he has a mid-range jumper. What are you gonna do? Um, then you got Siakam. I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, Siakam's not really that. Look at the Pacers run, please. The man was
Shit,
the
look what he did in
scorer for that
Toronto.
team.
Look what he did in
Yeah,
Toronto. Yeah, he won
I
a
mean,
championship out there.
I have a theory of how he became successful, and I'm not going to go all into that. This is a more give kudos to guys that deserve kudos episode. So just I do want to address that this man Siakam, like he'll give you a bucket. Like it may look like the most unorthodox bucket you've ever seen, but that B is going into hole. Um, So, like, yes, Halliburton. I love Halliburton, huge Halliburton guy, but he's been the distributor for the Pacers ever since he's been there. Siakam's been the guy that stepped up their defense when it needs to be stepped up. He's been the guy that's like, oh, we need a bucket. We need to get better on the fast breaks. I'm going to take that upon myself. And if y'all want to join me on that wagon, cool. But if not, get out of my way because we are going to be successful in the fast break. We are going to be successful on defense because I don't know how many people remember before he got to the Pacers and kind of still a little bit. People are like, "Oh, this is a bad defensive team. How much realistically can he add to this defense?" He's just like, but what he's added to that defense is insane. There's levels to it. Andrew Nembhard went from being a defender to, oh shoot, he is locking down people. Um, you got Aaron Nesmith that the Pacers have turned into a very good player after Boston was like, bye bye. Um, that I could go on a Pacers rant all day. But I think that the way that people were talking about Pascal Siakam and everything he did to prove people wrong. Oh, this can't be a successful defensive team. Watch us. Our defense isn't going to look like, the most on film, oh, this is what they're critically doing right, but they force stops. Andrew Nembhard's going to get into you. Pascal Siakam's going to get into you. So I think Pascal Siakam deserves a lot more love than he gets. Um, as a Duke fan, probably one of my most like annoyed guys. I never really liked the guy despite him going to Duke, but gotta respect his talent, Jason Tatum. I just think he's really corny. Um, I got Kevin Durant, obviously, should have been mentioned in the 2020s. I don't know why I didn't, or the 2010s. I don't know why I forgot to put him there. But really, both eras, KD's been phenomenal. I know I went on my rant last week about him and the Rockets, but as an overall player, Kevin Durant is very, very good. Potentially the greatest scorer of all time, like pure scorer, not like, oh, this or that independent qualifier, but like as far as purely putting the ball in the hole, uh, probably one of, if not the greatest scorer. Uh, and then some other younger guys that I wanted to just shout out. Evan Mobley, the the guy that's holding down the defense along with Jared Allen in Cleveland. He's also developing every day a better offensive game. So we could blink tomorrow and he's over here being their case for the MVP race. I know they have Donovan Mitchell, right? But Evan Mobley's starting to get up there with him in talent. And then the last guy, I think he was high in Defensive Player of the Year. I think he might have won one. I'm not sure. Jaren Jackson Jr. Probably one of the more unorthodox jumpers that I've seen go in, but the man makes them. So, and he'll lock you up on the other end. So, you gotta respect Jaren Jackson Jr. What you got over there, Tyler?
Well, what decade? Because you went all of them. But to me, I think
Whatever decade you want, I did kind of go on a rant.
Tatum is a good take. I like that one. You can also go for. Are we talking about just power forwards, or are we just talking about anybody?
But well, we're specifically talking about power forwards on this
So I don't
episode.
think Tatum is a power forward though, really. But
He's been playing power forward. I think he started off as a small forward, but ever since he's kind of
yeah.
bulked up a little bit, he's become a power forward.
But the Giannis thing in the 2020s, I think that Giannis has definitely grown from like when he came into the league to now, and seeing that finals where he kind of like he did a lot for that team by himself, but he also had Chris Middleton and all that stuff. But Giannis knows how to work. Giannis knows how to work together with other players. You know what I'm saying? And he's willing to like invite guys. And it's kind of suave of him to get guys to come to Milwaukee because it's not really much to do. So the fact that he can get that, I think that's what he needs going forward. He needs to find a way to get big free agents to come there. I know he had Dame. I know that Dame thing didn't work, but if he wants to stay in there, but if he's trying to leave, then he should just leave. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good list. I think you hit on a lot of points. I think it was solid. I just think the 2020s, we're halfway through the decade, but then we're halfway done with the decades. It's kind of like in the middle. So we got to
Yeah,
see some more. But I think it was good.
yeah, right. Who knows? In a few years, we could have Cooper Flag on this same list.
That's what I'm
We could
saying.
have some nobody that no one's really paying attention to yet that's on this list. I don't know where you quite qualify AJ Devanza, but there's a potential he's on the list at some point. So, you never know where the league is trending, which is kind of why I like to preface that our 2020s is as of thus far, not based on potential of what they can become, but just on what they've done so far. But I think me and Tyler will both acknowledge that there are players that could very well work their way onto this list. Just
For
how,
sure.
there were guys on the 2010 side of things that were like successful in the later half of that, just because they weren't necessarily drafted in the earlier parts of that 2010s. Giannis being one of them. He was drafted towards the later part of those 2010s and still had a big impact. So I don't think anyone in 2015 would have told you, hey, this Giannis kid's going to be an MVP. He's going to be one of these top power forwards in the decade. But here we are now, and he is. So, yeah, a valid point there. But just anything otherwise to add before we get to our next section, I believe is
Nope.
our current event section. All right.
Yep, go ahead.
So, huh?
No, I
Sorry.
said go ahead.
Oh, so current events. We really only have the NFL for this because the NBA season hasn't really kicked off. So this is going to be a bit more sided on that NFL side of things. But I do want to go through a few current events. There's a lot of things that have been happening in the NFL lately. There are some trades that I kind of just want to rapid fire through, give a quick thought or two, just because they may not have the biggest impact. We'll get to the biggest one. Trust me, we'll get to it. Um, this podcast is being recorded as of August 29th, 2025. So if anything happened tomorrow on the 30th, we're not privy to that information as of right now. Um,
Unless you got Adam Scheffner as
yeah.
as a friend, you could probably get a little early.
But with all of that jabber out of the way, I do want to go ahead and start with thoughts on Brian Robinson over to the 49ers.
I mean, I think they're trying to. I think they're just trying to build depth on that roster, honestly, for the 49ers. So that's my take.
Yeah, I
Just
think Brian
trying
Robinson's definitely a solid player and he can contribute day one. Like they
third down
obviously they
back
wouldn't have
too.
traded the yeah, they wouldn't have traded, what they traded to get him if he wasn't, but I definitely love Brian Robinson as a player. I think he'll be impactful for them. 49ers were pretty active, more than I thought they'd be. Um, but another one we can quickly go through, Thielen back to the Vikings, um, which is kind of crazy for Bryce Young. That was like Bryce Young's favorite target, and now he's gone. So,
Yeah, he
uh,
got Tech McMillan and J.C. Horn.
I mean, J.C. Horn plays defense, so he's not going to
No,
catch
not
footballs.
J.C. Horn, but Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn Jr. from Colorado.
Isn't
Jimmy Horn, and you got
oh,
Tech McMillan because they're trying to
I
go
think
cheaper. They're trying to go
yeah,
cheaper.
I think who they're really betting on, honestly, is Jalen Coker, whose fan base is affectionately known as the Cokeheads. But he was like he got a lot of attention last year because he just kind of came out of nowhere as a late round pick and was doing stuff. But I think that's who they're kind of betting on there. I don't think it's necessarily Jimmy Horn. Um, but I just thought it was interesting that they traded away his favorite target. But I do think it is like them saying, hey, we're betting on these younger guys being already good. Um, and then these next few probably just don't have that big of an impact, but I do want to go ahead and name them. We got Devon Vele, is that his name? From the Broncos to the Saints. A good depth wide receiver. That's really all I can say about him. Good luck with the Saints. Any input?
No,
We got Sky Moore to the 49ers.
I
Um,
didn't see that coming. I didn't. I was like, wait a minute. Dude, the 49ers, I think they're having a good, quiet offseason. I think that's good for them.
yeah.
Like, they're building something. Nobody's talking about them, and I think that's actually beneficial for them.
I don't know. I do really like Ricky Parasol, so I don't know if he's healthy or not right now. That's kind
He
of
is.
been like one of his issues. But I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of Sky Moore in my defense, but from what I was seeing from Chiefs fans, he loves dropping passes. So it seems like he's going to be one of those works in progress, and hopefully he can try to provide something week in, week out. But he
Hmm.
seems like he's going to be more of a project than a realized returns as of week one type of guy. Um, Jawan Briggs to the Jets. I mean, not that impactful. Just throwing it out there. Got anything on that?
Nope. The
This one I thought
Jets.
was interesting. Texans trading away John Mechie to the Eagles. They got Harrison Bryant, a tight
Yeah,
end back.
I ain't gonna lie, I was like, Mechie. I was like, also him going to the Eagles, man, the Eagles are just getting strong. It's like a behemoth. Like, bro, they got so many guys. Like,
They just
John,
create
people,
money and
but
roster spots out of thin air.
the people don't realize, like, the casual fans are like, whatever, they got John Mechie. But people like us, like, we know, like, John Mechie. I'm like, you got John Mechie. I'm like, what? You got John Mechie? So I'm like,
Canada's
It's
own.
just they are printing money in Philadelphia. I don't know where they get like. That's where I used to live, bro. And like, I never seen the money, but I'm just like, I just going to Slippy Rock. I'm like, I mean, Pennsylvania is a Commonwealth state. You know, that's where the country was founded on. It was the New Englands and the Bostons. I don't know where that money come from. It's not like New York, but they are just printing cash and just like, oh yeah, you know, we'll take him, we'll take him, we'll take him, we'll take him. We'll pay them all 30, 40, 50 million. It's like, what? But yeah.
Uh, we're gonna get to some position battles here in a second. But let's go ahead and talk about the big elephant in the room, the gargantuan-sized individual and elephant that is in the NFL headlines as of right now, Micah Parsons to the Packers. And so I had on here before the trade that, oh, I want to discuss, Jerry Jones not talking to Micah's agent because, I'm the aspiring agent, you're the football player. Thought we could have some
Mm-hmm.
dialogue on that. And now we're to the point
We
where he's
still
already
can.
been traded.
Yeah,
Um,
we still can. We can still have a little like point of view, like how I would
yeah.
feel and how you would feel.
I mean, as an agent, if I was in that specific situation, like if we're ignoring what's already gone on as of today, and him being on the Packers, if we're throwing that out of the window, if we're going back to that lens of, hey, Micah and Jerry Jones confirming that he's not talking to the agent, I think that that's kind of BS. Like if I'm negotiating if I'm a client's agent and you're trying to hold them behind closed doors for them to do the job that they paid me to do for them so that they don't have to worry about all that. They don't have to worry about, oh, what's my market rate? What's my this? What's my that? How much should I be getting paid? Are they gonna F me over in this deal? That's the agent's job to ensure that everything is good on the deal before I say, hey, Micah, your deal's ready to go. I'm gonna give you a rundown on it real quick, but I believe this is good for you. You can go ahead and sign this, or if you were for whatever reason not happy with that, I can go back into that room and we can talk it out some more. But I think that I don't want to sit here and insult the intelligence of players, but a lot of players just don't truly know what their valuation is. And I think that if the NFL allows this process where Jerry Jones can just trap people in a room and say, oh, we're going to talk about leadership. Okay, now that you're in here, here's this contract I want to offer you. No agents, no agents. Here's a contract I'm gonna offer you. You want to do it? I guess, sure. I guess, Jerry. Then they're gonna be getting effed over a lot because they may not be actively looking at the market. They got other SHIT to worry about. They got to go worry about putting in work so that they can be good next season. That's why you pay an agent. You don't want to have to deal with the headache of those kinds of things. So I would feel very slighted if Mike Borgonzi, for example, and I'm representing, let's say Calvin Ridley, says, "Hey Calvin, we've been really satisfied with your production here. We want to get you an extension done," and he kind of forces Calvin to agree to something before I have any say or I have any chance to look at what maybe the little or specific terms of a contract they're arguing about would be. Um, I think that that's a very unethical way to do business. I think that if you are a player, if you are an agent, especially, you should not be wanting to do business with Jerry Jones. I think that's going to hit him with a lot of backlash. A lot of players are going to be like, eventually when their contract's over, they're like, Jerry, we don't want to deal with you. Either bring in a third party and we can discuss this with them, or you can trade us or let us go. But we don't like the way that you conduct these negotiations, so we're not going to conduct negotiations with you.
Yeah, as a player, I just feel like, you know, if I let you know to talk to my representation and you go against that more than once, then I have a feeling that like, you know what, I don't even want to be here because it's like the fact that you
Yeah,
don't even care about talking to my representation. That's my only take on that. But I just like I would feel uncomfortable with that wholeheartedly.
yeah,
That's a red flag for sure. Like if I say talk to my
yeah,
representation, you tell me no, and I say it again, you tell me no again. It's like okay, now I know because you gonna have some funky shit in that contract that I'm not gonna like. but I'm not gonna notice it either, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna sign it, and I'm gonna be stuck.
Yeah. Like there's a reason that agents are being hired. Like kudos to Lamar Jackson. He has his mom handle everything. But there's a reason that these players hire agents to do this for them. Because there's a lot of logistics that go into a contract. It's not just like, all right, would the Green Bay Packers, would the Dallas Cowboys, we agree to pay you $40 million
Not the
dollars
voice.
every year. That's not how these work.
Mm-hmm.
There's like minor clauses like, oh, well, you can't ride a jet ski during this part of the year. And if you do ride said jet ski, you get this whole portion of your contract voided.
You can't
Like
ride a
there's
motorcycle
specific
either.
like yeah,
Doesn't it?
like
I
there's
know they had that in Big Ben contract.
like they'll include things. There's like weight stipulations that Zion Williamson had put in his contract. Um, so I feel like I mean, I'm not the player in this situation, but I feel like as the player, I feel like if you're trying to conduct a negotiation with me about my contract and I have an agent that I've told you to speak to, I feel like that means you're trying to hide something from me that my agent is definitely going to
Yeah,
find.
I know that's what I'm saying. He's trying to. I don't know. He had something in there that was not. I know he took it to the shredder now and burned it, but he had something in there that wasn't good. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, because who knows? Micah's probably not going to sit there and read all 100, 200 pages of that contract where on page 173 it says, oh, if Micah Parsons plays 2 games of Madden NFL 26, then this portion of his contract gets voided.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, there's
It'd have been
stupid
some.
stuff like that in contracts.
Or Kyler Murray, you got to watch this much film. All that.
Yeah. And these are things that, like, an agent's supposed to be like, okay, I see these specific stipulations they have. Are you comfortable with this? Or if they just see something that's so outlandish, they can just be like, hey, I'm not even taking this to my client until you remove this. So, and I think that players have too many other things to worry about than these specific logistics in their contracts, which is why they've hired agents. So, I mean, I could go on a soapbox about that all day. But as far as like the specific trade, what do you think about this specific trade?
Great for the Packers. Terrible for the Cowboys. Dallas is just a horrible. It's just Dallas is just a horrible. Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington. This whole region is just a terrible sports area. Um, this is going to be a long couple of years. Well, I'm coming to San Antonio, but
Yeah,
long football season coming up. Long football season. Basketball too. I know Cooper Flag is here, but still, like Luka's
yeah.
gone. It's just going to be a long season. I feel like they're just punting, not just on the season, but they're just punting on everything. The Cowboys are just giving up. They just don't even care anymore. They're just like, we're not going to win. And they're talking
They
about,
just
well, you
seem
don't know.
directionless.
You don't know. He might have something up his sleeve. And the Herschel Walker trade. The Herschel Walker trade was different because when they
Yeah.
did that, they were the worst team in the league in 1989. They
Hmm.
were last. So they had to get something. They aren't the worst team in the league, but they were like, middle of the pack. They went to the playoffs
Yeah.
recently, got beat by the Packers, so they weren't that bad. And the Herschel Walker thing was to jumpstart the team. Like,
Hmm.
this was, you already have Dak, you already have CD, but then, they ran off Zeke and they ran off Tony Pollard. They shoot themselves in the foot, man. I don't feel bad for them, and it's over with. Like, not just this
Yeah.
year, but next year and probably the rest of this decade until 2030, until the new decade comes. I think the Cowboys are just non-existent. Like, you don't have to even worry about them making no Super Bowl and nothing like that. They might make the playoffs or something, but they're not making no Super Bowl no time soon. Shit, they might not even make no NFC Championship.
Yeah. And I think that like for me, the biggest issue of the trade isn't like, oh, here are the specific details. You're giving up this for that. It's not that, oh, you only got Kenny Clark and 2 firsts for Micah Parsons. It's that, well, by doing that, you've kind of put yourself in a position where you're directionless. Because Kenny Clark, I don't care what version of Kenny Clark you're getting, he's not going to give you the production Micah Parsons is. So you're kind of in this space where it's like your team is very directionless. You just paid your quarterback. You just paid your star wide receiver. So hey, one would assume that with those two positions, you're looking at, pushing the envelope. Let's go try to win some games. but now you don't have a defense at all. Micah Parsons was the entire Cowboys defense basically last season. They had Deron Bland and maybe a few other guys, but for the most part, it was Micah Parsons, Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons. So yeah, your offense may still click at some sort of level, sure, but your defense is not going to be existing in any sort of way. I know as a Titans fan that when your only good player on the defensive side of the ball is a defensive tackle, it's very hard for them to have a productive year because what the O-line is going to do is be like, all right, we're going to assign two people to that guy at a time. If they bring in extra blitzer, maybe then they can get an individual rush. But for the most part, there's going to be a lot of attention on that one specific defensive player, and they're going to rely on other players to maybe take the other remaining guys out of the equation. So, and I'm sure as a Bengals fan, you've experienced that plenty with Trey Hendrickson being your only good defensive player. Yeah,
Yes.
but I think it's even more difficult when that one good defensive player is a defensive tackle. At least an edge, they can still get a fire burst out to the edge and still get a sack. But when it's a D tackle, those are like it's a lot harder to operate from that position and be impactful when you're the only guy.
Talk
So
about I mean, like, let's just think about for the Packers. I mean, that division just got a lot harder. Like the Vikings, Packers,
Bears,
and the Bears and the Detroit Lions. Like, I'm not saying to be scared, but they're looking eye to eye now. Looking eye to eye. So I'm just saying, like, that is just something that you gotta just be cognizant of. Like, your division just got a lot tougher, and it's not just. And think about Caleb Williams gonna have to see Michael Parsons and Jordan Love twice a year, and so is Jared Goff. So, and it's funny they play week 1 or not week 1, week 2. They play the Detroit Lions. The Packers do. So that's going to be good. I want to see how Jared Goff, because he's not really a mobile quarterback. I want to see how he does against Michael Parsons because he never really sees him because, they Dallas and Detroit, but now he's on the Packers. But I think the Packers are definitely in the playoffs for sure. They're
yeah.
definitely in the playoffs. They got the receiving core. They got the quarterback, got a pass rush. They just got to just fill in the gaps now. So I think that they'll be better off.
I think that the Packers now are contenders. I do. I think
Yeah, I
that
do too. Yeah.
Micah Parsons brings enough to that defense where maybe you have one or two holes, but the impact of Micah Parsons on the edge and the way that offenses are going to have to scheme around stopping him is going to let those maybe though even those weaker players be able to make an impact because they don't have near of a burden as they would if they had, say, Kenny Clark still there. So it's going to make everyone's life on defense easier. And I promise I'm not trying to make this a Micah Parsons Glaze session, but he is a ultimately impactful player. Ironically, he's like the first player since Reggie White of the very same Packers to have 12 plus sacks in each of his first 3-4 seasons. So I don't know. I think that maybe the Bears are being a little bit overrated, but even then, the entire division is very, very good. It's instantly became one of those like scarier divisions. Like it's probably up there as the top one or top two in the league on like level of competitiveness. Because there's a world where Caleb Williams becomes everything that Bears fans think he is, and they figure out a way to have all four divisional teams make the playoffs and steal all the wild cards out of one division. Like, I don't think it's a likely case, but it's a possible case. Like, there's a chance of it happening. A lot more than a lot of other divisions, perchance. So I think that specifically though, if we're talking about the Packers, and this is the last thing I'll mention, not to get into too many more specific weeds, but I'm excited for my boy Malik Willis to have an opportunity to go compete for something. Now, if I was the personal GM, I would say trade Jordan Love, start Malik Willis. Yes, I know you're probably going to think that's crazy. I don't care. But yeah, I love Malik Willis. Love that he's getting an opportunity to actually play meaningful games if he gets in
Yeah.
there.
And Malik Willis, they'll probably blow somebody out. He'll probably get in the game. He'll probably get a lot of playing time this year too. So I think it's good for the whole team. And then
Yeah.
stuff like that lifts up your whole locker room. So it just gives
Yeah.
this jolt of energy.
Yeah. Um, now, now that we've spent a good portion of time on that, I think we can comfortably move over to our next topic, still in this same current events category of the fact that or the position battles that have currently happened, college and NFL, as far as that quarterback position goes. So we can kind of rapid fire these, go as quickly as you want, as slow as you want. But what are we thinking about Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson for the Colts this season?
I think it's a message, and I think they're probably going to trade him. That's just what I
They
think. That's
should.
just my only take. That is like I think it's a message, and for the coach to say that this is who we're sticking with, and he has a long leash. To openly say that publicly, like he has a long leash, is like, well, I mean, I think that's just practice hard. They'll probably trade him and go somewhere else. I don't know how soon they'll try to trade him, but they probably will.
Yeah. I don't know. I support the decision. Maybe it's just because I'm an Anthony Richardson hater, which I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not. I definitely am. But I think that Anthony Richardson, in every single year, it's always been about, oh, well, yeah, he sucks this year, but potential, 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 potential. Eventually, the Colts are going to want to do what's best for them to win games. And I know Daniel Jones hasn't had the most career success over his tenure, but he did have the 1 year with the Giants where he proved, hey, I can get us to the playoffs if, large if, and I don't think the Colts have this if, which is their biggest issue, if I have elite talent around me. They don't have a Saquon Barkley, and I think that's their issue. It's not that they've elected Daniel Jones to be their quarterback, it's that they don't have Saquon Barkley. So, and I love Daniel Jones, Duke guy, represent. Um, but I do think it's the right decision. I just don't think that really either decision anyway would have worked to get them the goal of what they're looking to achieve this year. And I think that's really the larger issue is that it didn't matter which quarterback they chose. They're not going to get their goals completed this year. Um,
No,
and right quick before we go to this next position battle, do want to make a quick note because I didn't do it earlier and I should have. Shout out to Dorian Maiusi for being picked up by the Titans. First ever, I believe, Duke X Titan. So my two worlds clashing. Love to see it. Yes, he
hey,
finished at Auburn, but before that he was at Duke. So love to see that. Also, quick tidbit: love my Duke Blue Devils. This jersey that I got last year for Christmas was supposed to be a Jordan Moore jersey, but his brother Jaden Moore took the same number, so now it works again.
hey,
Uh, but that segue aside, let's go and get to the probably biggest story as far as QB battles go, and that is the Shadudu Sanders and Browns one. Um, so Flacco has won the starting quarterback job. Spoiler alert for anyone who didn't know that. And then they've already designated that Dylan Gabriel will be the backup. And then obviously the guy after that would be Shadur. But what are our thoughts necessarily of, Shadur being the number three, Gabriel being the number two, and Flacco being the guy?
my honest take, like, I'm gonna be honest, especially being from Ohio, I don't care what the order was. I don't care who quarterback one, two, or three is. It's the Browns. So we're not even paying attention to them.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter, like, who was starting. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter who was second string. Doesn't matter who was fourth string. It's literally nobody. They're not going to make the playoffs. So why does it matter? Like, I get
Yeah.
why it's a story, but it's just like they're not going anywhere anyway. No matter, I don't care who's starting. They're not the Niners or the Eagles or the Packers or whatever. Like they weren't going anywhere. No matter, I don't care because Joe Montana was a quarterback. Like they weren't going anywhere. So like the pecking order. really, honestly, if I was a quarterback for the Browns and I would want to be second string or third string. Not want to be, but like knowing that we're not doing shit and we're not gonna play the playoffs or we're not gonna like your season's gonna be over by Halloween or like early Thanksgiving. Like just shut it down and just get traded. Because there's no need to go out there if you're not going. You know you're not going to get any further than October. Like your season's going to
Honestly,
be
they
done.
should have traded Myles Garrett for assets and just gone full rebuild.
I vouch Shador. I know he's a rookie. I know you can't demand
Yeah,
it, but just trade Shador, and I'm sure he'd be happy with that too. Like going in, I've been on teams like this. Like going into a season knowing you're not going to go far at all is just you feel like why are we playing? Like
yeah,
we're going to be 4-12 and 4-12 or whatever and shit like that. That's why I'm like, I wouldn't want to fucking go out there anyway. I'd just be like, let me just get traded and just because I mean, like what? I mean, you're gonna go what 4-12? I
yeah.
mean, yeah, yes, I understand you want to get some tape and more film to market yourself, but
Hmm.
outside of that reasoning, I mean, like, why do you want to even like just there's no like you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah,
okay, Dylan Gabriel's quarterback number 2. Great. Is he gonna no. Joe Flacco, no. Shador, I don't know, probably not. So it's like, who cares what order it is? Because there's not an order where it's like if it's in this order, this could be a playoff order. You know what I'm saying? It
yeah,
wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what order it's in. It could be Shador, Dylan, Flacco. It could be Flacco, Dylan, Shador, or Flacco or Shador. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
I personally think they should just trade Shador to somewhere else and let him go somewhere where the quarterback room is just normal, and just let him compete and develop and grow as a player. Because all that 5 quarterbacks shit is just it's just unnecessary. Like instead of having 5 quarterbacks, you probably need more defensive players, more DBs, or more say whatever. But 5 quarterbacks, it's like it's a waste of time. And you're not
yeah.
gonna pay all those guys anyway.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is not necessarily like from a team's perspective of where they're going, because I do believe, like you do, that regardless of who they're picking, they're not making the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe Flacco has another rejuvenation year and gets on like on this borderline wild card hunt. But even if that happens, I don't believe that they'll get in. Um, but as far as like specifics on the quarterback battle goes, I think the reason that they've made the decisions in that order that they've made them is that Flacco's proven. You know what you're going to get out of a guy like Flacco. He's going to get the ball to whoever's open. He's not going to create anything. He's not going to make a window, but he's going to get it to the window that exists. As far as like specifically Gabriel versus Shadur, I think that decision was made because of pocket presence. And I know that they were already higher on Gabriel, but I think it kind of solidified it when Shadur took 5 sacks versus third stringers. And it wasn't like, oh, the offensive line just like decided to play patty cake. It was Shadur having pockets at times and just not navigating the pocket and moving up. Um, Whereas Gabriel would like, yeah, he's going to sit there and take more risks. Yes, I'll 100% agree with you on that. But he's also going to climb the pocket and try to get the ball where it needs to go. Whereas Shadur is a lot more likely to hold on to it at this point in his career and take a sack, which is a very big drive derailer at this level. There's a lot of times where, you'll have a Jaden Daniels even or a Justin Herbert, they'll get sacked. And it's very hard to overcome that sack because now you go from a 1st and 10 to a 2nd and 17. Those extra 7 yards make all the difference. An extra 7 yards you have to go in one less down makes all the difference. So that's kind of I think why they made that decision. Sure Gabriel, yes, is going to throw more interceptions. I'm not going to sit here and say that Shadur is going to out compete him in throwing more interceptions, but Gabriel's going to get the ball out more in general. So I think that's kind of where they were putting that value on, is that pocket presence. Um, Now, unless you have anything else on that, we can just go ahead and go over to the Saints QB battle.
Oh, I'm not paying attention to that. The same thing with the Browns. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm not even paying
All
attention.
right.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
All right, then for viewers' sake, we'll just quickly go through it. May
Yeah, I
not
know the
give
Tyler
very much
Shucks
an
and everything like
opinion.
that.
Yeah,
Tyler Shucks,
right.
Spencer Rattler. And when I say
Jake
that, it's
Haener.
nothing that when I say that it's not about the quarterbacks battling the
It's
Browns or the
about the
Saints. I'm
teams
not.
being bad.
Yeah, so I'm just like, yeah. I mean, this is like,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
I
4 and
think as
12
far as the
incoming.
NFL, yeah, and I think as far as these NFL ones, I do agree. I think that Shug is a safe pick.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be who he is. He's not gonna be more than he is. He's just gonna be open guy, here ball, open lane, here run. He's not going to create really anything at all. So I think that like Rattler has this higher ceiling. He also has a lot lower of a floor. Like Rattler is a gunslinger. He's going to go out there. He might throw some interceptions, but he's also going to go out there and try to push the ball every play, try to get the ball as far as it can go every play within reason. And that is going to result in more interceptions, but I think that where the Saints are going here is that they're banking on the upside that they've seen from Rattler versus like the pretty precise known that Tyler Shug is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what it is. The well, not last, but the next QB battle, we're moving into college football now, is going to be Julian Sayin over Lincoln Kienholz for your Ohio State. Again, guys, this is being recorded the day before that game, so he's not basing any of his opinions on what just happened. Nothing's happened yet. But um, I've heard his name being pronounced like Sand instead of Sand. I don't know what's proper.
It's saying.
Um,
Well, Julian's is saying for this. I mean, the game's tomorrow, so I mean, he's already the starter.
yeah,
Um, I think I watched a lot of
right.
practice film on them. He earned it. He did. He throws a nice ball. Not saying nothing's wrong with the other kid, but Julian definitely has that. If I could find a comp, he has like a. He has like a. It's like a pretty ball. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like pretty. Like when you watch it, it's like. It's like you know what I'm saying. And he hit Jeremiah Smith in practice, and it was perfect. So I
Yeah.
think definitely, I think Julian Sands should definitely should be a QB1 for tomorrow. Well, today's game. It's actually today now. I'm so fucking like
Yeah,
ready to watch this fucking game. Like this Ohio
yeah,
State Texas shit. We've been talking about this game since like March, and it's finally here. So
yeah. All right. I do. I don't know a lot about these college football ones, so I'm gonna let you take them over. The next one I had was C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchey for Notre Dame. C.J. Carr beat out Kenny Minchey. Any
yep,
thoughts on that?
I think they once again nothing about the other kid, but I think that was the right decision. CJ Carr, um, his arm strength is there, and he gets the ball quickly out. He gets the ball out quickly, and he has Jeremiah Love as a running back to help him out. So I think they'll be good when they play Miami on Sunday night in Hard
Right.
Rock.
The one that we just kind of saw on tape because this is being recorded essentially right after the Colorado game ended. Julian Salter won the job over Julian Lewis. Any surprise there at all? I know Salter had a very good year at Liberty last year, so that's probably what they were banking on.
I don't know if they did that because he was a veteran transfer and the other guy's a freshman, but I'm like, I felt like they should have gave the other kid more of a shot because I mean, like he did come there. And I get it, he's a freshman, but Juju Lewis, I'm like, I feel like Salter, they just get, he's a transfer, he's more experienced, but it's like, I feel like they should have gave Juju more of a shot. That's what I think.
All
Like I
right,
said,
and
when
then
I say these things, I'm not saying anything wrong with the other guys. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's one that could have went a little longer. Like that battle could have been a little longer. Don't forget this
yeah,
pro Bo Prabula. He had his debut
yeah,
last night in Missouri. He balled out. Penn State transfer because he's behind Drew Aller.
yeah.
The coach said we're going to put Bo in for the first half, and second half put the other kid, and Bo played the whole game. So
Yeah. All right. And I'm sorry, I forgot these a little bit earlier. I just want to go through them very quickly, not take too much time on them. Very basic stuff. These are just NFL moves. Coop back to the Raiders. Think that's cool. I'm curious whether he'll go to 19 or if he'll go back to 89. But I think that's a cool fit to go alongside Geno Smith. I like that Terry McLaurin was extended for his 3 years, 96 million. Big
well
boy
deserved.
Watson. Yeah, Big Boy Watson did get cut from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so we're no longer going to have Big Boy Watson and Vita Vea next to each other, which a lot of people were disappointed about. I know there were some Twitter accounts that were like, "You could see how bad he wants to play," when he was just sitting there standing watching practice. And then Hendrickson got a 1 year raise, so he didn't get extended. He just got a raise for the year, up to what was it, 30 million this year. So interesting that they did that for just a 1 year kind of thing. That they're going to go ahead and give him that money because I think he said that he wasn't even going to play this year if he kept his current contract. So not sure how you would feel about that as a Bengals fan. Y'all just doing this 1 year raise instead of giving him an extension that may have included that. So
I feel like we well deserved for Trey. Trey's been there. Trey was there before. Trey was there like when the Burrow just got there, like the old Bengal days. So I'm like,
yeah.
he deserved that. Same thing with Terry McLaurin. He was there when Dan Schneider was there. He went through all that. So I feel like he definitely deserves it too, for sure.
Do you have any like issues with them not giving him a longer term deal, or are you perfectly fine with just the 1 year?
I'm cool with the 1 year because we're gonna see what we can do with this, and probably gonna let him go or franchise tag him. Probably gonna let him go.
All right. And then I just have a few more segments here, and then we can get out of here. So just really quickly, we can start with the NBA first. Play a game that I've seen a lot of places: stock up, stock down. I name a player, or you name a player, and we're gonna give you give you viewers what we maybe individually think of, like whether we think their stock has risen from what it was their prior season, or whether it's uh, gone lower. So,
All right.
um, do you want to start? Or do you want me to?
You can go ahead.
So
Wait,
I
check your check your
messages.
messages. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we don't get it all done today, we can maybe try to record the rest tomorrow. Um, we can just do a few though. It doesn't have to be too
Yeah,
many.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I'm ready.
So for first one, let's see. Yeah, we were just talking about his contract extension. Terry McLaurin, or well, actually, we're not to NFL yet. We'll do one NBA, one NFL, kind of switch back and forth. So first for NBA, do you think, and this might be a niche player you didn't follow this year, but Andre Drummond, stock up or stock down?
Stock up.
Stock up.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like for the Sixers this year, I personally probably say stock down just because like he didn't get that much PT. Before last season, I kind of wanted him to be a Spur, and now I'm just like, he's old. He's not near the rebounder he used to be. So I'd say probably stock down on him. That's just my opinion though. You can go ahead and do an NFL one if you want.
Uh, the Bengals, if they don't make the playoffs or not, stock up as in they gonna make it, stock down as they don't.
Like kind of their performance on the Bengals.
Yeah, stock up means they
Uh,
gonna make the playoffs, stock down to mean that they ain't.
I'm gonna say
Scary.
it's the AFC. I'm sorry. I think their record's going to be better. I still think that they missed the playoffs. I think it's going to be another one of the years like it was last year, where Burrow does everything in his godly ability to get them there, but they just fall short because the defense isn't good enough, and the offensive line likes to BS a lot of times.
Okay, go ahead. You're next.
Well, do you want to say anything on that? Like agree, disagree, otherwise?
I feel like being a fan, I feel like we'll make the playoffs. I don't hope it's a wild card thing, but if it's a
Mm-hmm.
wild card thing, I'll take it. As long as you just get in the dance, you can just go from there. So,
All right. I think my next one's like kind of like you think he's gonna have a better year because of his new team or not, kind of thing, with Damian Lillard. So he obviously, for those who don't know, Bucks got rid of him. He went back to the Blazers. Stock up, stock down.
I'm in the middle. I don't know. 'Cause I would lean more. I don't know. That's kind of like a because he went to the Bucks, right?
What?
What did you say?
He
He,
he went back to the Blazers.
I thought you said Bucks. I don't know why. I don't know why I was thinking about Damian Lillard, but
That's who we're talking about, Damian Lillard. He went from the Bucks to the Blazers.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's why I asked. I'm like he went from the Bucks to the Blazers. That's what I asked. I was like, he went to the Bucks.
Oh, I thought you
I
said he
feel like,
went to the Bucks. I was like, no, he's been with the Bucks. He just left.
yeah, I know that didn't work out with Giannis. I think,
Yeah.
I think medium. I think okay. I don't know if it'll be like the first time he was there, but I think it'll be cool. Like just like middle of the pack. Like we like they're gonna win games. He's gonna hit some buzzer, but I don't think it's gonna be like how it was the first time. I don't know. I don't think. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
I
it's gonna.
think it, yeah, I think as I don't know if it's trying what you're trying to say, but like I think as far as individual performance, it's stock up. As far as his performance to contributing
Yes.
to more wins
Yeah.
and to getting them somewhere, stock down.
That's what I mean. Individual, yes, stock up for 100%. But like how they Paul George, how they beat them in the playoffs, and how they beat
Yeah.
the I forgot who they beat. I don't think it's gonna be like that
hmm
again. I think it's just gonna be him. He's gonna be. I'm not gonna say stat pad, but I think it's just gonna be a big,
Okay.
stat guy, and just I don't really think they're
Yeah.
really gonna be winning a whole lot of like playoff games.
Yeah. All right. You got another NFL one for us?
Um, Adam Thielen back on the Vikings. What you think with that? Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, Osborne. That receiver room's already crowded. So like, what do you
Yeah.
think?
I think stock up team wise, stock down Thielen wise. Thielen's not going to get the targets that he was in Carolina, so his individual numbers are probably going to plummet a bit. Um, so that would be my expectation there is that the Vikings are going to be maybe better.
Hmm.
I don't even know that. I think stock down for both actually because JJ McCarthy's not established.
Wow,
I
both.
think that even though I'm saying stock down there, I think that they'll still have like a playoff season. I don't know if they're getting the amount of wins they had last year, is what I mean by stock down.
So you mean like playoffs, but like wild card?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which they were a wild card last year too, but still.
It's funny. They were
Um,
wild card. They were a wild card team at 14 wins. That's crazy.
yeah. Which is what I'm saying.
Like,
Like it's going to be very hard for them to get to back to 14 wins.
how do you a wild card team at 14 wins? Like, that's ridiculous. That's like more like a 9-8 type of team. Like that, but I
Yeah.
mean, but their division is hard. That's why. Like, you get the Lions, Packers,
hmm
and the Bears. I just, so, but
It's the
yeah.
super division we were just talking about. I think
Hmm.
the Lions are also going to have a worse year than they did last year for some of the same reasons, and the fact that they lost both coordinators. Um, but
Yeah,
so
and
like
they did.
just a free additional one, I'd say Lions stock down. I think we'll do one more for each stock up, stock down. My last one's going to be OB Toppin because remember Halliburton's injured.
Up, stock up. He gonna have to play a big
So
role.
you think he'll have a better year? I
Yeah,
think stock
he gonna have
down
to
just
fill in a
because
lot
there's
of.
going to be a lot more on his plate personally, is what I would say. Um, because that's a lot of pressure to overcome, like the deficit of not having your distributor. Like I think they're going to miss the playoffs this upcoming year because of that. Um, which good for them because they'll probably get another stud player out of it. But I think this might be the year we finally see the Pacers not make the playoffs and then return the next year once Halliburton's healthy again. Um, so I think as far as Obadiah's individual play, stock down. As far as team play, stock down. As far as his development for future runs, stock up. All right, and Tyler, continuing on our stock up, stock down section of this episode, who was that last NFL player you have for us?
Stock up. I'm gonna go JJ McCarthy. I know everybody's talking
Mm,
about everything about this year, but I feel like he's got the weapons. He's got JJ. He's got Osborne. He's got Jordan Addison. So, and they got a good team. So I feel like, and they got Kevin O'Connell. I think that JJ, his stock will be up. I'm not saying he'll be like Sam Darnold to win 14 games or anything like that, but I believe that they'll be, they'll be in the right direction. Like they'll be fine with JJ. As long as he just play action, don't do too much, don't play outside yourself, just play within the system. Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, those type of guys, they just make you want to play point guard. Like that's all you got to do. You don't got to be like Superman and do anything. So, and he's used to that playing at Michigan. So he used to
Right.
not being Superman and just playing whatever. So I think stock up for JJ.
For sure. Yeah, I think that my biggest issue with the Vikings is really not, their player base or anything of that sort. I just think it's like, as far as like a up, stock down on a player, I think it's you can evaluate player versus team. I think we're both on the same perspective that maybe the Vikings as a team are stock down just because it's so hard to replicate a 14 win season that both them and the Lions somehow were able to come out and put together. Now the division's even better with the Packers getting better as well. So just kind of all that factored in. I do think that the team is going to perform not a lot worse, but at least marginally. Like they may have 11 instead of 14 wins. I do think they're
Yeah, something like
100%
that.
making the.
Yeah.
I think they're 100% making the playoffs. I'm not going to say that they're going to drop out, but I don't think they're going to be able to replicate the same win total necessarily. As far as JJ McCarthy goes, he's more or less a rookie at this point. Now he's a what I would refer to as a more experienced rookie than a lot of the other ones, just because he's been around an NFL team for at least a year at this point. So I think that there are still going to be quite a few rookie issues that he's going to run into this season that, KOC is going to have to, yeah, all right, here at this level, here's how you kind of deal with this situation. And he's going to have to deal with Jetta as one of the best players in the world, wanting to get the ball on a consistent basis. Sometimes even playing point guard, your star guys are going to want that ball, and you have to figure out a way to make sure within your existing system that you're getting them the ball. Um,
Mhm.
and so I think that we are going to see him struggle a little bit just because it is a rookie year for him,
Well, yeah,
regardless of the fact that he was on the team last year, he just wasn't available. I do think that he's going to have some struggles, but I think the Vikings just have way too much superpower to fall out of the playoffs in any regard. I think, just like I was saying, this is one of those divisions where it's highly likely that you end up with three teams out of this division in the playoffs, and then there is that sneaky likelihood of that fourth team kind of conquering the whole entire wild card. Um, but if we're going to go ahead and move on to our last segment of the day, I just wanted to discuss, maybe some remaining free agents on the NBA side of things. Get over back to our hardwood aspect of things. So for the remaining free agents, I just have a few. We did a whole episode or a whole segment on them last week, but just kind of recapping the Russ thing. Not much has happened with Russ. I think as of now, he's projected to go to the Kings, but they're still trying to trade Malik Monk. I don't know if I necessarily like that fit with the Kings, but we did discuss him a lot last week. So unless you have anything to contribute additionally this week that maybe you didn't include last week, we can go ahead and move on to the second guy on this list.
yeah. Like I said last podcast, I think Russell. I don't think he's been East his whole career. He's always wanted to stay on the West. So Sacramento sounds, it's not confirmed yet, but it sounds something like he would do. Like he's always been a West Coast, Western Conference type of player. He's never really went East, so I feel like that makes a lot of sense. I mean, he went from Denver, OKC, and he played in Utah. I mean, like it just makes sense to him for him to stay on the West Coast. So.
I don't know if I'll necessarily like his specific player fit on that team, but I think it makes sense for him because he's a
Is
guy that
De'Aaron
likes
Fox
to
still
stay
over
in
there or no?
LA.
Or
No,
the
De'Aaron Fox is in with the Spurs now. He
with
got
the Spurs?
traded
Yeah, so
mid-season.
that makes it more because if he was going with Fox, I would say the same thing. But because like you would have two ball dominant guys, but since he would kind of be going over there without Fox, that's the kind of like maybe that could work. But I don't know, man. I think Denver should have just re-signed him. But I mean, cap space and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and positions. But he did good for Denver. Like his role was good.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do think he should have like gone back to Denver, but we don't know what those inside discussions are. It may have been like they wanted to go a different direction or
That's what
something
I'm
like
saying. Like
that.
they probably wanted to do something. I'm sure Russ would probably stay.
Yeah. But I think as far as like my individual feelings on the fit with Sacramento, it has to do more with the fact that, yeah, I know you're trying to get rid of Malik Monk, but you already have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan playing there. And I think that specifically with Russell Westbrook's kind of skill set, those guys are two guys that kind of want to be isolation scorers. And Russ is not necessarily an isolation scorer, but he's an isolation passer. So he wants the ball so he can distribute. And I think over the past few years, we've kind of seen that Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, those are guys that kind of want the ball to get to their own shot, to create their own shot. They're not one of those people that are going to like sit in the corner, sit on the wing, and wait for maybe Russell to pass
Wing
them the
players,
ball.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that's kind of where it is. And then those two players are kind of very mid-range oriented, whereas Russ is very downhill oriented. And I don't see that, especially if they trade Malik Monk, that there's a lot of shooting there. Just mainly well, no, they traded Herter in that same De'Aaron Fox trade. So there's not a lot of shooting if they bring in a guy like Russell Westbrook. They're going to have to trust Zach LaVine to get back to 40% from three, which is really hard to do at the NFL, NBA level, sorry. Um,
Like, what NFL? Oh, I'm just joking.
yeah, he's playing two sports now. Um,
He could play safety.
hey, you know they said Iverson used to play quarterback in the day.
Bro, he was nice too.
Yeah. Um, and then the next guy I had on the list, kind of someone that no one's really heard about since, his team kind of got eliminated, and that was Al Horford. Haven't heard anything about Al Horford. Is he gonna finally
Mm.
hang up the shoes, or what's going on with him? Because one would assume, oh, they've kind of got this like thing clicking in Boston, but with Tatum out, who knows? Does he want to go a different direction?
That's a good question. I don't know. I forgot. I didn't even know Al Horford was a free agent. I kind of knew his contract was coming up because I know they went to the finals last year. Then they went to the finals against no, they didn't go, the not last year, but against Dallas, and they won it in 24.
Right.
Then this year they played, the Pacers and stuff. So I didn't know his contract was up this year. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Thought he had at least one more year, but he didn't.
Yeah. So I think he's a very interesting one. Um, I think if you're looking for spots, I think maybe like you have a Knicks or a Pistons that could use him. Just another guy that can stretch the floor and bring what kind of he does, and that's going to be his very floor stretching presence. Him and Karl Anthony Towns would be amazing for spacing, but horrible for defense. Um, which is kind of why, like, I don't know, me personally, I kind of like him going to the Pistons, even though I think him in a Pistons jersey would look a little bit weird. Um, I think that that's a good fit for him because their centers right now, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, both of them are non-shooters. So if they could add a guy like him to the roster that is able to shoot, play both the power forward and center, play along with another big, I think that could be very valuable for Detroit. The next guy I had on the list is actually a free agent from Detroit. That's Malik Beasley.
Mhm.
Um, he had a crazy year last year, probably his best year since he's been in the NBA. Shooting very efficiently, coming up clutch for them a lot of times. But the main reason he's kind of stayed a free agent as of right now is that he had some legal issues going on. I think he's been cleared of a lot of it at this point. Kind of one of the same loopholes that Isaiah Bond had to go through in the NFL. But he had some legal issues going on. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think that those have been cleared up since. But yeah, Malik Beasley, I think there's a lot of teams that could use him. I think the Spurs could use him and I know it's a big if because Pop is going to want to make sure everything's good as far as legal is concerned. But I think he could be a good fit for the Spurs who really need shooters with all these downhill guards, Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, Castle, all these guys that are pure downhill guys. They don't have very many shooters on the Spurs, so I think that could be a good fit for him. Again, if all those legal issues are shaken out correctly. You have anything on Malik Beasley? Anything to offer there?
Mm-mm.
Um, then the next one's kind of a lesser known name, but I follow an account on Twitter that's always talking about he needs to go to this team or that team. Basically, it's just trying to desperately keep him in the NBA. Charles Bassey, former Spurs center. Actually We got him from the G League a few years ago, so I guess technically a former 76er as well. Um, but I don't know. I think at this point, just because he's been so fragile in the NBA, I see him as going overseas or somewhere over there and kind of playing and trying to prove himself and then come back over here if he does enough there. He did a lot in like the summer league for the Boston Celtics. He signed with them temporarily, but other than that, I just don't think that right now there's very many teams that could really want or really use a Bassi who you can't really rely on as far as durability is considered. It would be different if he was a star player, but when you're a role player the way he is and you are not durable, I think that puts a lot of question marks on you and makes teams look a different direction potentially. And I think that's why he's remained unsigned. So I think he'll end up being going outside of the NBA for a year and try to get himself back in. Anything on Bassi that you'd go? All
Mm-mm.
right. The last two guys I have here, I have Cam Thomas, Quentin Grimes, both restricted free agents. Um, so first on Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas, a report came out from NBA Central a few weeks ago saying that he wants $40 million a year. Um, and that's kind of why the Nets haven't brought him back yet, is because they don't want to really give him $40 million a year. So I really like Cam Thomas as a player. I would much rather pay Cam Thomas $40 million than Devin Vassell $27 million, just in my opinion. So if I would entertain an idea like that for the Spurs, as a Spurs fan is considered. But um, I think that Cam Thomas is a very, very good player. I think he gets underrated in a lot of sense because he's on the Nets and no one watches the Nets, just like no one watched the Spurs in between the DeMar and Wemby era. No one was watching that team. Even when DeJounte was having his year, no one watched the Spurs. So it's just one of those things of being on a bad team. You don't really get the recognition maybe you deserve. And so I think for that reason, that's kind of why Cam Thomas is having this issue of getting a contract, is because while he may believe and the market may say, oh, for the standards you should be making this amount of money. Maybe that's 40 million, maybe it's less, maybe it's more. But I think that's the biggest issue, is because people haven't seen it on a competitive side, and he's not getting the offers maybe from the competitive teams to bring back to the Nets to say, hey, here I am actually worth this. So can we go ahead and get this contract done? Because he is a restricted free agent at the end of the day. If he does agree to something, the Nets have the right to match. And I think that's kind of what the Nets are waiting on, is for him to sign elsewhere and then match, so that they can retain him. And then, other than that, but there's also Quentin Grimes. If you have anything else to say on Cam Thomas, go ahead.
Mm-mm. That was it. Pretty much. Just checking.
Um,
But
and then the last player before we get out of here that I wanted to discuss was Quentin Grimes. Another one of those guys that kind of came in, had a crazy year as soon as he was traded. I had a lot of hope in him when he was with the Knicks. He and Sohan played on the same Rising Stars team, and that's kind of when I first noticed him. I was like, oh, this guy's a shooter. He gets buckets. And then they kind of gave up on him. I think he may have been part of the Towns trade. I'm not sure. But he wasn't on the Knicks this year. He ended up, I think, signing with the Mavs just outright without a trade or anything like that. Um, and so he ended up playing for them. Well, then the Luka trade happens, and all they start moving pieces at the deadline, trying to make sure that they can calibrate the roster around the guys that they just acquired. So Quentin Grimes was traded in, I believe, a separate trade. Um, and he went over to the Sixers. The Mavs got back Max Christie, I think, and there was a lot of moving parts all through that. But that's when Quentin Grimes really like stepped it up, and like for a bad 76ers team as they were last year, because Paul George was not helping them at all, and Joel Embiid was out. Tyrese Maxey was like their only weapon. For a bad team that the Sixers were last year, he was like this solid true shooter that you could trust. And so I do think that they're going to look to bring him back, but I think his issue is probably that because of what he was able to prove last season, he's also going to be looking for a little bit too much money. So I think him and Cam Thomas are kind of in that similar position of bad teams with good players looking for new contracts that they're not being able to get another team to offer them, so they're having that difficulty getting their current team to want to match something. Because unless they match something, they're gonna have to come back on like the restricted or a offer that the team offers them, and they're probably not liking to entertain those ideas as of right now. So I think that's kind of the situation with both of them, is that they're both kind of just waiting on an offer to come to them so that they can accept, so that their restricted rights team can then say, all right, we're matching that, we're bringing you back. But that was kind of the last guy I had, unless you have anything to comment on Quentin Grimes.
Hmm.
All right. Well, then that's been it for the Gridiron and Hardwood podcast today. I am one of your hosts, Trent. Over there, that's Tyler. Um, but I would like to thank everyone here for coming out today, watching our podcast. I know this may look a little bit different. We had to do a little bit of 2-day kind of recording just because of some technical difficulties. But before we get out of here, I do want to just once again plug our socials for you real quick. If you want to go ahead and support us over there, at Twitter, it's going to be at Gridwood Pod. And on Instagram and TikTok, it is going to be gridiron.hardwoodpod. So you can find us on both of those socials. I've posted some clips, and we're going to try to keep you updated on, when maybe some episodes are coming out, when they're being recorded, all of those kinds of things. But other than that, this last little segment here before we get out of here, I just want to let you have the opportunity, Tyler, plug anything you got before we go.
At Tyler Cargill, at TYLERCARGILL. Again, TYLERCARGILL. That is the Instagram. That's the Twitter. That's the Facebook. It's all the same thing. And that's the YouTube, so it's easy to find me. I made it that way on purpose. Find me on all those socials. Add me. A Snapchat is at TACARGILL, at TACARGILL. That's my Snapchat. Go ahead and add me. Amarillo Warbirds wide receiver. Don't know what number I have yet. Actually, we're gonna find that out soon. We actually just talked about that. Like, we don't know. Nobody has our numbers yet, but we'll be out there in the spring. And yeah, so those are my socials. Add me on them.
You looking at wearing number 6, or you maybe want to go to 13, or what you
You
want
know
right
what?
now?
I think when they asked, I put 3, 6, and 13, or I put 6, 13, and 14. I don't know. I kind of want a single digit, but then I kind of do like 13. I might go back to 13.
Yeah,
I
because
kind
I
of like
remember you
13.
wearing, I think 6 one year and 13 the next.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I'll take any number, but 13 is like my, like 13 is like my, yeah.
he
So
said we were reversing that 13 curse. Um,
then did that. I won a championship twice in that. So ain't no
yes,
such thing.
sir. But for anyone that is curious why the socials are a little bit different from each other as far as the podcast is considered, that's just because on Twitter they have a specific character limit and they couldn't fit the full name in there, so I had to limit it a little bit down there. But otherwise, my personal socials at Trent the OG on Twitter. On Instagram, it'll be Vibe and Trent. Other than that, I don't really have too many other socials. I have Snapchat. I don't know what my Snapchat is. I think it's Vibe and Trent as well, but I'm not very active on there. Other than that, though, unless you have anything to add, Tyler, I think we're good today. And I'd like to thank our listeners once again, our viewers, if anyone's watching this on YouTube or the visual portion of Spotify, for tuning in today. And I would love to see y'all back here for episode 3. Thank you all for coming
Yeah.
out.
Thank you all. Episode 3, and we will give our reactions to college football weekend as well. That'll be a good episode.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, again, thank y'all, and hope y'all have a great rest of your respective days.
Happy Labor Day.